So this is my freshman year at East High School, and sometime near the end of that school year, um, it was decided my friend had gotten a job, and for a company called ALP Systems, and it was going to take him like it was an international company. It was, I think, developed at BYU. And there were a bunch of uses for this software, but he needed to be located in England. And like a couple years ago, he brought something about that up, and I guess it was longer. And we had been like, I don't know, things went different. When we were living in Idaho and told we were going to move to Salt Lake, I cried. Like we were taken out to a restaurant, and this time, I was saying like, oh, I remember, like, I like adventure, and I was thrilled with the idea. There were two locations, and one was either going to be Geneva, Switzerland, or it was going to be England. And I wanted Geneva. Like, I was excited because I was like, oh, I'll be able to, live in a place to pick up French. And I think it was, so Isaiah was going to be born his birthday is September 4th. And I remember that the idea was floating around before he was born. I think because I remember my mom saying something about like, oh, well, if he's, born in Switzerland, like he'll have to mandatory serve in the army or something like that. Something like that. So however this idea was like presented, I remember just being I loved the idea of living abroad. I was always up for adventure, and when I had this conversation years later, like he was like, yeah, I totally manipulated you into thinking like you wanted to do it, like you are the easiest person. And he was bragging about this, and so he was really proud about that. I guess I was easily manipulated. I wasn't like really a person. There were no boundaries, and I was as the oldest daughter, like the scapegoat. If they've ever got like Vivian, his natural daughter is like oldest by birth, was aware of what he was like she wouldn't have come. So, and it became worse for me than for Candace because, I don't know, like, I think, like, even as a 12 or 13 or 14-year-old, I think I had, like, resting bitch face, or, I don't think I can say that, but anyway, because there was this one time we went to Jamaica, and I think this was I was in middle school at the time, but yeah, we went to Jamaica, and I thought we were joking around, and like I was down by the ocean, like my mom and Fred were like in the lounge chairs, and like I think he got up and kind of like came over to where Candace and I were, and like then he was like, kind of walking back to the lounge chair, and I raced really fast and like went around him and like laid on. I was like kidding and joking around, and he like walked up. I mean, I was like barely ahead of him. He was like, "Get out of my chair!" And I was, I thought I was like smiling, and I was like, no, I was just trying to like get him to joke, and like out of nowhere, he like reached down, grabbed my leg, and like yanked me clean off clean off the chair, and it was such a shock on so many levels. Like, it was in front of people, which he like rarely ever did, and I was joking, but things like really escalated for me. Like, for me specifically, as opposed to my sister. And I mean, like, I've thought that over so many times, and I was like I don't get it still. Like, I remember I was like joking and laughing, trying to mess with him. Like, I would never do that. And yeah, I don't know. And then I think that was like one of the first times, like, like within 24 hours, like, I developed a rash all over. Like, we had to call the doctor, and so after he yanked the chair, like the day before, like, I was sent into the hotel and had to spend the rest of the day in the hotel. I wasn't allowed out, and like he never said sorry for that. Like, I mean, I tried to tell him I was joking, but anyway, so yeah, the next day, like, I just developed like a rash, and and it hurt so much, and we had like, we were, I don't know, we were on the other side. Like, if you fly into Kingston, I mean, we're on the other side of Jamaica, like driving crazy roads all the way around. And this was, yeah, like in 1980. It might have been before. I don't know if it was like before my siblings were born. Anyway, it was like maybe 1984 or 85. And I had prickly heat, and I wasn't. So the doctor said, like, I had to go in and spend like the rest of the vacation inside. And it was just like this very painful, like, I was allergic to the sun. So that, yeah, that began like a series of like health issues kind of related to me internalizing the stress of those things. And so, yeah.